Karthik?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, all right, good to see you. All right. Okay, so great for joining for the this is the weekly coaching, okay, for Create Unicorn. Okay, so I think we'll start on time. So first off, let's maybe do some shares of the wins. Okay, haven't seen you earlier this week. So any wins you like to share on this? I guess since we last met, or maybe in the last couple of days. Any
Yes, sir.
wins, progress? Yeah, go ahead.
The very first win was that I started working on the website, which you told Karthik about restaurant website. So it is halfway completed. I mean, the frame is completed.
Oh, nice, nice. Okay, all right.
Or
Yeah.
the second win is that yesterday I had my final year project submission, first submission. So I have done the submission in my college. So this is the second one.
Oh, okay, okay. You have done the submission at your college
Yes,
for what?
sir. Final
For
year project submission.
for the final year project. Okay, okay.
Yes,
Nice,
sir.
nice. All right. Okay. So probably a milestone completed, right?
Yes, sir.
It's a milestone. Okay, excellent, excellent. All right. So I'll share about my wins on my end as well. Okay.
Yes.
Basically, there has been a lot of progress, I would say. And we, first off, the business model for Pure Harvest, I think it has now be sort of more focused and nailed down. So it's about creating an organic restaurant, actually serving organic food, I mean, organic vegetable for restaurants. Okay. So that's kind of the more finalized. And we also plan to do that, with a global model, with automated kitchen. So I think that's the win. Hi, Karthik. Okay. Just sharing wins. And I think the second win is actually we already started to grow the organic veg by contacting a outsourced producer. Okay, so it's going to take about 30 days, okay, for them to grow. So starting now, so probably a month from now, we will have the first, organic live veg available for restaurants. And likely what we'll do is do some pilots in Taiwan first, okay, before taking that. And yeah, I already booked my ticket to New York, actually mid-April. Okay. So this is and I'm going to be there for 6 months. So this is this is going to be exciting. All right. All right. So Karthik, good to see you. So let's maybe start off by sharing some wins. Okay. So any personal, professional wins you'd like to share since we last met? Karthik?
So,
Yeah, you can hear, right?
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, okay, all right, go ahead, go ahead. I mean, any wins, progress you'd like to share?
I have not made any specific progress, but I've,
No,
I'm
anything is fine. I mean, work, not work, life, anything you feel positive, something you have feel happy about, quite good about.
yesterday I was just planning to start. Means, like I said, I wanted to build credibility for my brand. So I thought I'll start with creating an Instagram page and uploading there.
Oh, okay, 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 I see. Okay. So you already started for an IG page and
I have
also
not
uploading.
started. I've not started, but I've thought about it.
Oh, okay, okay, nice, good. So started to think and maybe design a bit, right?
Yeah, planning.
Okay, okay, planning. Nice, nice. All right, okay. So one thing just a quick feedback. Don't underestimate the power of a single idea. Okay. This is I don't know if you guys have seen, I just shared something called the 80-20 individual by Richard Koch. Okay. So have you heard of the 80-20 principles or Pareto principles?
Yeah, I've heard about.
Okay, okay. So it's, about there's 20% produce 80% of results. It's called the Pareto principle. It's also a natural law. You can observe, like, out of 100 contacts, 100 friends, you probably interact with 20 or less the most, right? I think we can see this out of pretty much everything. 20%, 80% of headaches comes from 20% of the problems. Okay. Things like that. 80% of the income comes from 20% sources or clients. So, I mean, if you really take this idea seriously and try to observe and apply not just in work, but also in life, I think that's where you get. So I share a short version, but highly recommend to get the full version. It talks about how, if you can leverage this idea well, you can become what's called an 80-20 individual, where you are actually playing to your strength. And you might be able to do things quite unimaginable to most people. Okay, even that rivaling like other organization, institution, or companies as an individual. Okay, so yeah, so don't underestimate your simple ideas. They might just grow to something powerful. All right, so maybe let's start with today's coaching, okay? So we're actually entering into week 7. Oh yeah, and by the way, just a quick, just like to know how are you doing with I guess the course? Are you following up, or are you maybe still have some lessons to make up in terms of we're onto week 7, right? I mean, how is it so far up to now? Any quick feedback? Is it, for example, is it something that you feel it's digestible, that's okay, or it's somewhat hard to follow, or something too easy, too hard? Is there any like quick feedback on this? I'm talking about the YC, the recorded course part.
No, it's short and digestible.
Okay, all right. So it's understandable. I mean, and well, how about you, Vaishali? What do you think?
Same, sir. Same.
Okay, all right. So basically, yeah, I think the idea is to get a little bit, on a daily basis, on an almost daily basis. Okay, so basically, week 7 is about growing and monetizing. Okay, so how do you monetize and how do you actually make money, right? I think this is probably a topic most people are interested. So the first YC module talks about how do you set KPI, key performance in matrix, your key performance index, right? How do you set your KPI? And there's usually just one KPI. Okay, it's either your revenue, your how much you're making, or user count. Okay, something like that. It's usually one or the other, your user size or your revenue size, right? And the reason why choosing one primary metric is that then you can optimize for it, okay, and really focus on that. For example, like for Ascender, I think the primary metric has been, the people who enroll, okay, who participate. And also, for example, there will be another metric, such as, actually the people who participate in the live coaching, that's another metric, okay? And also, in the video course, what's the percentage of completion? Those are like secondary metric, but our primary metric right now is the number of who enroll. Okay, right now it's close to about 300. So, that's kind of what we're looking at. And for, let's say, Pure Harvest, right? I think the main metric for the organic restaurant will be revenue. Okay, because that's a very clear indication of how you're doing, right? It's the revenue size. So again, whatever business you're doing, set one primary metric. And 2 of the main drivers, it's, talk to your users and improve the product, right? Talk to user, improve product. So this is something I would have to say, spend 80-90% of the time. Right now, I'll use PureHub as an example, okay, because that's kind of like what I'm kind of focusing now, because we want to potentially build that as the first example case of a unicorn company. Right now, who we are talking with is not directly users, but actually, for example, like the restaurant chain owner, okay, our potential partner. So this is also good to get their feedback, right? Because right now it's kind of like a B2B business. So that's kind of the direct client or partner, that we're engaging with. So we are doing this pretty much at least on a weekly basis, okay? Although getting to a closer, for example, even on daily basis is helpful. And then there's a really interesting thought experiment, is that what would you do if you have unlimited resources? Okay, so think about you got the support of Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates, or someone who gave you unlimited money, staff, people, talents, or time for that matter, right? What if you have unlimited resources? What would you do? Right? Okay, so that's the first part of this thought experiment. But then the second question is even more interesting. How can you achieve this with limited resources, the same result or effect? Okay, so let's ask that as the first question. Okay, if you have unlimited resource, well, now think about your project or whatever you're planning to do. If you had unlimited resource, what would you do? And the second question, so basically just list out what's the most important feature or service that you like to build. Okay, so I'll give Ascender as an example. For Ascender, if we have unlimited resource, meaning that we have a lot of funding, let's say money, right? What we would most definitely do is to actually give away grants, okay, 5,000 and also investment in 50K, 500K, just to lots of people, lots of funders, lots of teams. Ideally, we want to do $15 million a year. Okay, so that is what that meant is that actually 1.5 million investing into 100 funders. So that will actually be 1,000 funders to be supported by funding on an annual basis. Okay, so this is actually something we will most likely we want to do, just spread it. And yeah, so I mean, you guys are doing by joining, by participating, by helping out Ascender, we're actually trying to make this model work. Okay, by basically helping to spread entrepreneurship to wider people. Okay, and obviously we want to develop some criteria, right? Some feasible work, feasible approaches that can help people to to basically select the right founders, the right entrepreneurs to help to invest. But this is kind of what ideally Ascender would be doing. Okay, so think about that for your business or your business idea. Okay, what would you do if you have unlimited resources? What's the most important feature or service you want to create or offer? And the second is, how can you achieve this with limited resources? Okay, given what you have now. All right, is the question clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, so this is an interesting thought experiment. Okay, so I'll give you guys two, you have a question? Racheli, you have a question? Or, hello? Or it's fine.
Hello.
Racheli?
Hello.
Hello? Sorry. Did I just got Karthik? Was I disconnected out? Was I kicked out of this?
Yeah, you were not here.
Hello? Karthik, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you were not here.
Oh, I see, I see. Okay, so okay. So I think probably I had a temporary disconnection. Okay. All right,
Both of you were
apologies.
disconnected.
Yeah, is my voice all right now?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Which is, oh, hello?
No, you were not audible. Your screen was stuck.
Okay, my screen. Let me turn off my screen, okay, for now. And let me see if I could maybe switch to a different network. Okay. So, all right. Is my voice better now or still not good?
No, sir, it's better now. Voice is
Okay.
clear.
Okay, voice is clear? All right, all right. Okay, so I guess the question is, what would you do if you have unlimited resource? Okay, and then what would you do? You know, how can you achieve it with this limited amount of resource you have now? Okay, so if the question is okay, that's spend 2 minutes to journal. Okay, to journal on this question. Okay, all right, so let's start. 2 minutes. All right, 10 more seconds. Okay, all right. Is everybody done here? Are you guys done with the question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, okay. All right, so let's move to the second module this week. It's about business model. Okay, start business models and pricing. Now, business model is actually something super important. I did not appreciate this before, okay? I did not really appreciate it in the past. But actually now, having going through different kinds of businesses, I can definitely appreciate if your business model doesn't work, then even if you spend a lot of effort, even if you are making sales, even if you're having clients, you could still, end up bankrupt, okay? Because if the business model doesn't work, then at some point you will not be able to sustain yourself, right? And actually be out of business. Okay, so business model is actually super important. And YC talks about there are basically three main kinds of business models they have seen as very successful, or most of the successful startups adopt this business model. They are marketplace, okay, which is the matchmaking between buyers, sellers. Think of eBay, right? Airbnb, Uber. These are all marketplaces. The second type is payment. Okay, some service that's offering some kind of service related to money. For example, PayPal, right? Stripe, that's a company also, that came from YC. And maybe other like Coinbase, right? The crypto exchange, or something similar. They are related to money transfer. Okay, so if your business is directly related to money, the saving, the transfer, the storage, management of money. Okay, that's all. Can you hear? Hello?
Yes,
Yeah, we
sir.
can hear you.
All right. I was kicked out probably. I switched to a different network. Okay, so hopefully this will be better this time. All right. I see Sahar is also here. Can you hear me? Okay. I mean, are you in? Sahar?
Hello,
Okay, if you can.
I'm here. How is
Okay,
it?
okay. All right, okay. Yeah. All right,
Okay.
so where did I say? I mean, where did I disconnect? I was mentioning about I think business model, there are three types, right?
Second one.
What was the
Second one,
uh,
payment.
second one? Okay, payments. Okay. So payments is actually something close to money. Okay, Western Union, right? Anything that transfer or moves money. The third type is called SaaS, okay, software as a service. So these are anything that actually, anything that actually allows you to, do something in the cloud. For example, Dropbox. Okay, we all know Dropbox, right? Dropbox, obviously like Google Spreadsheet, Google Docs. Okay, these are all cloud software as a service. Salesforce. Okay, that's customer CRM software, customer relation management in the cloud. Okay, actually, Salesforce it built its entire company based on a SaaS model. Okay, so these are again, like powerful business models that that actually works. So initially, YC recommends that you want to, well, at some point, you want to make sure that your business model actually scales with software and technology. So this is, I like to emphasize, also very important as you think about your business. Because I'll give an example, like Karthik, you are thinking about creating potentially a marketing agency, right? Perhaps a marketing agency. If your business relies on scaling with manpower, okay, which is why for YC's purpose, they don't recommend for like consulting or outsourcing, okay, these kind of models, because when your business has to be powered by human labor, okay, let's say you can only grow if you start to hire more people, which is what, let's say, consulting business or a lot of the outsourced software businesses are about, okay, then you can only scale with hiring more people, increasing your payroll, okay? But that is not, a good way, especially if you want to scale to millions or even, for some companies, they even have billion users, okay? So you definitely want to find something that would scale with technology, right? With, let's say, servers. This is worth emphasizing, okay? So I think in today's age, what that also meant is if your business backend can be scaled with, let's say, AI, okay, from my perspective, one important trend is the combination of AI and virtual assistant, okay? Obviously, virtual assistant is still people, right? However, if you get your model right, you might be able to scale basically virtual assistants with, at scale, okay? I'll give you guys an example. There actually has been an AI company, okay, that is doing training of their language translation model. They are trying to provide, let's say, translation service for professional, professional documents or whatever. So they want to train their models correctly, and I was involved with some of the training. What really impressed me was that the entire hiring process, okay, so they did not have to do any human interview. They get your data. They also do the interview purely online, okay, purely through software. You have to like record, maybe answer questions, record a video, explaining yourself, right? And they probably utilize some AI, but some human to make the final hiring decision. And then the whole training process and also the actual work, they are all automated. There's no human involved. So this way, they were actually being able to, I think, hire probably tens of thousands of people doing AI feedback, translation and feedback on the translation. Probably without too much of staff. Okay, so that was actually very impressive. So think about how your business might be able to scale with AI plus, virtual assistant. Okay, this is one thing I encourage. And okay, so I guess the last thing is you do want to base your pricing on value, not cost. Okay, and this is another, I think, important concept to emphasize, which is oftentimes, especially beginning founders, okay, we tend to make the mistake, myself included, to basically price our service or product based on the cost to us, right? If we have low cost, we just maybe add some premium and try to sell it, right? Sell at maybe a percentage of the cost above. However, if you are really thinking from a business perspective, what you want to do is to sell as high a price to what your customer is willing to pay for, okay? And then actually the ideal price point is where they will actually complain it's a bit too expensive, okay, but they still pay. That's actually the ideal price point. And then, that's the price point where, so if they're willing to pay, that means it has a certain value to them at that level, okay? And then everything, in any margin between the price you're selling, well, the value you're creating, and also the price that costs you. sorry, the price they pay versus the cost, that difference is your profit. Okay, so ideally that margin is, you want to make that as large as possible. And one of the things, this is a side note, why funnel marketing is very important, and I highly recommend, again, you to study funnel marketing in depth and try to master that, is because part of the funnel marketing concept is creating offers. An offer, you can create that by stacking different things of value to your clients. Okay, so this is why I recommend you guys to go over Alex Hormozi's $100 million offer, because he actually talks at length how to create an offer that your clients feel they cannot refuse. And this is something by stacking different things on top of each other so that it actually feels very valuable to your clients. So for example, like okay, let me use again Ascender as an example, okay, because I'd like you guys to understand about what we're actually thinking behind Ascender. Is that, for example, we want to make Ascender as high a value to, let's say, you guys, okay, maybe beginning entrepreneur students, as high a value as possible. How so? Okay, we want to offer basically world-class entrepreneurship materials and coaching, right? That are typically, people paying thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars to actually, I myself pay those prices actually, to learn and acquire those knowledge, okay, and become part of my practice and my habits. So this is the kind of value we want to offer, right? And again, at a cost that is almost nothing to you, right? Right now, it's being offered free, right? So that's actually, I think in Alex Hormozi's formula, you want to maximize two factors in terms of an offer. One factor is the perceived value, right, of your offer. The other is also the perceived likelihood of achieving, okay, of getting those value. So for example, for you guys, that might mean how likely do you think by going through the Create Unicorn course, you can actually, create a unicorn or at least become a successful entrepreneur, right? How likely do you think that's going to happen? If you think there's a high chance, it's very likely, then that's a lot of perceived value, right? But if you think, well, the material is great, but it's unlikely to happen to me, okay, then it's not as valuable, right, to you guys from your view. And the second, those are the two components on the top of the equation. And on the quotient part, you want to have two things you want to minimize. So the two things on the top you want to maximize, the perceived value and the likelihood. But what you want to minimize is the cost in terms of time, money to people, right? And okay, so that is something you want to minimize. Okay, and one is the cost, the other is actually the time it takes to realize that. So the best offer is something that you can get the results instantly. Okay, think of if you want to lose weight, you can swallow a pill and lose the weight immediately. Okay, that's like the ideal offer. Okay, if you can just instantly get what you want by after payment, you get exactly what you want. That's the ideal offer. So, that's basically the theoretical part of how to create a great offer. You want to minimize the money, the time people are making, the sacrifice they're making, but also maximize the perceived value and the likelihood of achieving. Okay, so yeah, so basically that's how you want to design your pricing point. And if you can create a lot of value, but based on a very low price, right? Let's say your perceived value is, $10,000, but you only pay, let's say, $100 for that. You actually find that cheap, right? So it's not the money you're paying, it's about actually what's the perceived differences between the value you receive and the money you pay, right? Value is what you get price is what you pay. If there is a great discrepancy, it's a great offer, right? You want to buy it. Okay, so that's the basic idea. All right, so the second question for today is, what business model, okay, do you think, you know, do you think you belong to? Okay, what is your, and we talk about three, right? SaaS service, marketplace, and also payment. If you're not one of these, that's also fine. But you can also think about how you might be able to pivot a bit, okay, or switch a bit or add a bit towards those models. Okay, all right. So I'll give everyone just 60 seconds to think about, what business model does your business belong to? Okay, all right. So any questions? Okay, if not, then 60 seconds. All right, let's start.
So
Okay, go ahead. You have a question? Karthik?
you
Okay,
said
go ahead.
you said at one point we should start scaling using technology, and what was the other thing?
The other thing is virtual assistants. Okay, so technology might be cloud services, AI. Okay, actually, well, because you're in Ascender, right? And we want to help you to create 3-person unicorns. We believe the core of 3-person unicorns lies in the heavy use of AI. Okay, but not just AI, but also virtual assistants, VAs. Okay, does that make sense, Karthik?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So AI slash or multiplied by VA, we think that's a powerful combination. If you can really master this well, then you literally have to dispose this at your disposal a unlimited workforce. Okay, because there's a lot of VAs out there, and AI is plentiful. It's just machine, right? It's just servers. So if you can figure out a business that can actually be fulfilled, you solve a business demand, customer pain by offering a solution that is purely based on AI and virtual assistants to, then you can do the delivery, fulfillment, or marketing or whatnot. Then I think you will have yourself a highly scalable business model. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Good. That's a good question. All right. So again, give you 1 minute, okay, to think about what is your business model. Okay. Is it one of the three, or maybe it's something else, or how can you move or make it one of the three? Okay, let's start. 1 minute. All right, 10 more seconds. Okay, all right. So let's continue with the last part. Okay, so YC does talk about when you start, you want to do things that don't scale. Okay, so that is not really, scaling with, although we want to scale with, automation later. But initially, you don't have to don't aim for scalability in the beginning, because you might be optimizing the wrong thing. Okay, there is actually a formula by Elon. Okay, I think I'll share it's Elon's 5-step process. He actually talks about you want to eliminate assumptions. Well, question or assumption, right? Eliminate. Simplify, okay, until it's really the core essence before you actually automate, and scale, right? So basically, for, initially what you want to do though is to really to understand your customer pain and what's the best thing that you can offer them, right? So you want to do things that may not be scalable, maybe quite manual, like doing human fulfillment or interviews, right? And one of the things you can measure whether it's a good measure of success, whether you have achieved what's called product market fit, is whether your customer has repeated usage, whether they have come back to you again and again and again. Okay, that's one sign of repurchase is a product market fit. And don't make decisions based on your thinking, your emotions, or your views. Try to make decisions based on numbers, okay, actual data, and not who speaks the loudest or has the most power, okay, or who's the founder, okay. Especially, we as founders or as entrepreneurs, we're also usually, over ourselves, maybe think we're too important or too correct. But a lot of times our thinking and assumptions and views are wrong. Okay, actually, in fact, probably most of it are wrong. When you actually test it to the market, test it to the clients, then you will see, how big a difference that it really is. So that being said, okay, so for our third question is what's something that doesn't scale, okay, but that can actually help your business project, your star project or idea to actually grow. What's one thing, or that's probably not going to be scalable, but it will actually help you to grow today. Okay, think about that. Okay, so let's spend maybe 1 minute on this. Okay, so something that doesn't scale but can be done today to help you to grow. Okay, so 1 minute to grow your business. Okay, 10 more seconds. All right, okay. So I think that's pretty much for today's this week's YC. For the 10x mindset, okay, we're just going to do a very simple and easy exercise, okay? And it's going to be somewhat fun, okay? Which is, it's actually important to review your progress periodically. And the reason is that, oftentimes we have grown, we have gained, but we overlook that. We usually see the gaps, right? Remember gap and a gain. We like to see what we are missing, but we forget to see what we have already achieved or has progress. We make this mistake like probably many times in a day, myself included. So the first, periodic review progress is super important. I would encourage you to spend more time on this, maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, even an hour, to do this. But right now we're just going to do a first very rough draft, okay, of this. It's not final, that doesn't matter. You can just refine that later. So, the first part, like to maybe do it, on a page or on your computer, write down half a page. Okay, actually for now, maybe just some bullet points, which is what is your, review, let's say the past, since we started, okay, since we started this program, since January. Okay, so it's already been a month and a half, right? In the last month and a half, in the last 45 days or so, right? What's the most important gains and progress you have so far? For example, what surprises you the most and what makes you the most proud? Okay, so I'll give you guys just a 90 seconds, okay, to write down what are the wins, the progress, the gains in the last 1.5 months, since January. Okay, what are the important progress, that you have? What surprised you the most? What makes you most proud? Okay, so let's start with 90 seconds. All right, remember this is first draft. It's just a draft. All right, let's start. All right, 10 more seconds. All right. All right, let's stop. Okay. So the next part is actually asking to look forward. Okay, look ahead. So by, that's right, another, for the next half, by next quarter. Okay, why will the next quarter be the best quarter of your life? Okay, just try to be imaginative. And anything, you don't have to worry or care about how to do it, right? It's just a forward-looking statement and sort of a visualization of why the next quarter will be the best quarter, for you, even, for your life so far. What are some key progress, some key experiences that you will be having? Okay, so I'll be more specific. So, we are halfway through this quarter, right, in February. But let's say by the end, okay, of March this year, so for the next 45 days, okay, when you look back, why will this quarter, the first quarter of 2025, be the best quarter of your life? Okay, just, write down whatever reason you can think of, or however visualization you like to see, okay? Why would it be the best quarter for you? Okay, by the end of the next 45 days, all right? Okay, so that's again, spend just 90 seconds on this. Just jot down whatever thoughts that comes to your mind. Okay, any questions about our question? Okay, if not, then let's start. All right, 10 more seconds. Okay, all right, let's start. Okay, so maybe let's do some share, okay? So anyone would like to volunteer to share your answers, but you can also share your insights or any questions you have, while answering. Okay, so any volunteer? And yeah, remember this will be a good chance, okay, for you to get some feedback that will likely help you to, get everything that you're envisioning done, your project done faster. Okay, so anyone would like to share? All right, Karthik, okay, go ahead.
So for the first question, if I had unlimited resources, then ideally I would hire more people. I would start off by hiring people who actually are a little expert in the skills, and then I would focus on growing the agency,
Mm,
building relation with the clients. So that would be a faster way to grow. Then the important feature I would focus. Not really sure about the important feature, but if I had
Well,
limited,
in your case, could also be a service you offer, right? If you're trying to do marketing, that could also be a service, right? Okay, so go ahead.
so then I would focus on only one social media at first, just starting with one platform and developing
Okay.
expertise in that, creating a reputation based on that. After that, I would grow from there. Then, if I had limited resources, then that's what I'm doing right now. I will build my own expertise in the field and then grow it organically. Then, for the third question, the business type, I don't think my fits in any of these three. It's a services based agency. So, for the fourth one, what's something that doesn't scale but will help you grow? I I couldn't find an answer for that. The review for the progress uh, from this course, actually, after this course, I've started actually thinking about and developing an actionable plan rather than just thinking and not taking action. And I was just waiting for everything to be perfect to just start. So that has changed. And looking ahead, I ideally I would focus on any one social media platform, like maybe Instagram, and then before this quarter ends, I would focus on maybe growing it to 10,000 followers.
Okay, excellent. Okay, all right. So any feedback from anyone here to Karthik? Remember that we are a mastermind group, okay, meaning that the feedback to each others is also very crucial. Okay, so anyone would like to offer some feedback or maybe questions you can ask to clarify, right? To understand better about Karthik's thinking or his ideas. So anyone would like to ask?
No, sir, he is
Barbara
already
Shelley?
doing very
Okay.
well. No, sir, no question. He is already doing very well.
No. Okay. So encouragement, right? That's also a form of feedback. Okay. Good to see. All right. If you cannot talk, you can also type. Okay. If you have any, comments, feedback, questions. Okay. So Karthik, I have a question for you. How can you turn your service idea now into a product idea? Any thoughts on that? If you want to do a marketing agency, can you turn that from just doing a service, which could be highly customized, you try to get different clients, try to help them, try to engage into a product, which may be much more scalable.
Product
Okay, so
maybe a course.
okay. What kind of course?
Like like if I focus on one platform like Instagram, so how to grow on Instagram organically. But for
I
that,
see.
I
Okay.
have to show them the result, which I don't have right now.
I see. Okay. All right. Okay. So, okay, I like you to think about this. Okay. And I'll share maybe one more feedback on this, which is if you want to create a course, especially a knowledge-based course, you don't have to be the world-class expert at something before you actually start sharing. Okay, and I'll explain the reason. Is that there are different types of teachers and students. You don't have to be like very superly expert or world famous or anything like that, or have a strong, large followers. You only have to be better than your student, just like 1 or 2 steps ahead of them, and then you can teach them. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Meaning, if there's a experience gap, there's an experience differential between you. In fact, oftentimes your ideal clients or ideal students is your formal self. Let's say the Karthik, 1 year ago, 3 years ago, or maybe 3 months ago, right? If right now, if the current version of yourself is wiser, more experienced, more capable, more skillful than that formal version of yourself, right? Then essentially there's something you can share and teach, right? For example, just imagine if you go back in time and be able to have a conversation with your formal self, let's say 1 year ago, right? Do you think you can provide maybe some very helpful advice to avoid mistake or to speed up progress for your formal 1 year self in, let's say, 20 minutes? Do you think you can do that?
Yeah, maybe I can provide the right resources based on the research I've done.
Right. Obviously, right now you are more resourceful, more knowledgeable, right?
So
As
it
your
will
current
take
self,
time.
right? Okay. So do you think you can provide value for your formal self in, let's say, 20 or 30 minutes? Can you do that?
Yes.
Okay, you can, right? Now that's a service. That's a product. Make sense?
Yeah, understood.
Okay, and all you have to do is to find other formal selves of yours, right?
Yeah.
Which is, by the way, exactly what I'm doing for Ascender. Okay, because obviously I can still grow a lot as an entrepreneur. I'm not super quote unquote super successful or famous yet, although, you know, given my path, I think that's where I end up. However, I'm probably somewhat more experienced than, you know, you guys here, right? So that is the that's the, you know, the difference I can share, and perhaps to help you to grow faster, right? Because obviously, I can tell you frankly, if I had this course, you know, if I had, you know, be able to meet the current self, let's say 10 years ago, I can probably fast track a lot of the, you know, the turnaround, the waste, you know, the roads. I can probably save myself a lot of time and money. Okay, so that's the kind of value you can think about. Okay, in terms of creating for your clients, for your customers. All right, so just, I guess, take that with you. Okay, so thanks, Karthik. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Anyone else would like to share? Maybe we can have one more. Okay. Nobody? Okay. If not, then because we're also at time, okay? So maybe let's call it, you know, for today. But again, I'd like to ask you to do a summary. Okay, so let's do a wrap up, which is, we'll spend 1 minute. Okay, I've shared this link in the chat room to write down what is the biggest learning for you today. Okay, what's the biggest takeaway for learning? And also, what's one action moving forward? Okay, for you. All right. So let's spend 60 seconds on this. Okay, please, you know, click the feedback form and 60 seconds on what's the one biggest takeaway and also one action right after this. Okay, let's start. Okay, 10 more minutes. Okay, all right. So maybe let's do a couple of shares. So anyone would like to share what's the biggest takeaway today, and also you know, the next action? All right, Rashali, would you like to share? You haven't shared today. What's your biggest takeaway, and what's your next action?
So the biggest takeaway is that you said we should track our progress. So
Okay.
I think creating short-term goals is not enough, but tracking them is also required. So the thing
Okay.
I'll do is to track my daily progress and to stick to my schedule or to goals.
Oh, okay. All right. Good. Good. All right. So basically, seems like you want to make daily progress towards your goal, right? By doing a
Yes,
little.
sir.
Okay, okay. All right, nice, nice. Okay, great. That's all. That's actually called accountability. Accountability. Okay. All right. So anyone else would like to share? Sahar, would you like to share what's your takeaway today and
I
any
think
action?
I will share with you the first question, answer for the first question about the first quarter of the year. I can imagine what would make the quarter of the year is better. I think I want to become a businesswoman and be able to import from Chinese to Egypt some goods like accessories, mobile, something like that. I tell you before, I also wanted to open my restaurant in Egypt. By the way, I really like the video you recorded, but but if I try to open this idea here in Egypt, I think wouldn't be vegetarian. We in Egypt love fish like meat, something like this.
Okay, all right.
So,
We can chat about this. Yeah, no worries. There's vegetarian fish.
yeah,
Anyway,
makes it.
what's your action though? What's your action next step? Yeah,
My
what's your next
action
step
now,
action?
I try to ask about the prices, but the problem now, I need to know more about marketing. So if
Okay.
I try to make any process to be done, so I have to
Mhm.
market it well. So I have to study
Okay, I see.
marketing.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Excellent, excellent. Okay. You don't have to have a marketing degree. Okay. You can just, read some, learn some really good marketing materials. And there's $100 million offer. I think that's the one that came to my mind. Alex
YouTube,
Hormozi,
YouTube
$100
too.
million. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
YouTube too.
So
Have a lot of
yeah,
videos.
right. I mean, they're short versions. Yeah. So video learning, audiobook, they are all great. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So anyone else would like to share? What's your biggest takeaway and action? Karthik? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway would be to not price the product based on the cost we incur, and to base it on the value we provide, or what the customer is willing to pay for it. What is the market price for it?
Yes, that's very important. You will make yourself more money. What's the action? What's your next action?
Based on this,
Well, or any action that's going to help you for your project, right? For your, that's going to help you. What will be your next action? Because we are in an entrepreneur course, right? You're supposed to act on your entrepreneur project.
right now the right action is to just try creating as much content as possible and check what works and what doesn't.
Okay, okay, I see. Create content. Excellent, excellent. All right. So do that. Okay, do that. And maybe like Rochelle, you can track on a daily basis, just try to provide yourself some feedback, whether on target. Okay. All right. So yeah, so thanks everyone. All right. So yeah, for those of you, I also encourage you to share. Okay. Ritika, can you share? Are you able to speak? What's your biggest takeaway and action to work forward? Ritika? Okay. All right. How about Sabashini? Shubashini. Okay, all right. If you can, you can also share in the chat or the in our WhatsApp channel. Okay, that would be appreciated. Okay, so I think that concludes our mastermind coaching, for today. Okay, all right. So let's stop this. So for the second hour, okay, hold on a sec. Let me